Welcome to Driven Towards Excellence, Inspiring Conversations. My name is Mr. Weissberg, Principal of Intech Academy, MSHS 368. We are a New York City public school serving grades 6 through 12 in the Kingsbridge, Marble Hill, Riverdale neighborhood of the Bronx. Let's get started. Driven Towards Excellence, the podcast where we delve into the heart of our school community, sparking inspiring conversations with the individuals who make it thrive. I'm your host, Principal Weissberg, and I'm thrilled to bring you these insightful discussions. This podcast is a platform to amplify the voices of our students, staff, and valued community members. We'll explore the journeys, perspectives, and innovative ideas that fuel our pursuit of excellence. Expect candid conversations which will illuminate the passion, dedication, and collaborative spirit that define our school. Join us as we uncover the stories behind our success, learn from our experience of those around us, and gain valuable insights into the dynamic culture that drives us all. Driven Towards Excellence is more than just a podcast. It's a celebration of our shared commitment to growth, learning, and the unwavering pursuit of our highest potential. Let's dive in. Today I'm here with two of our middle school students, Naja Shahade in 8th grade and Leah Teneo in 8th grade. Thank you for being on our first podcast, Principal Podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So we're going to start a little interview back and forth, kind of building off our Driven Towards Excellence model of inspiring conversations. So we'll start with some simple things like, what's your favorite thing to do in your free time?
I like to be active during my free time. I feel like just moving your body and stuff. It's really fun, you know. Like I like to play volleyball in my free time, or I like to just like play basketball or whatever with my dad or something. Like it's really fun, and it's a good way to pass time.
Cool.
Something I do with my free time is also play volleyball as well. And not only that, I also love to read books. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And what are we listening to nowadays? What's our music? What's our genre? Who we like?
I like listening to anything as long as that like the beat is good. But most of the time, you're probably catch me listening to like rap or something. Like I like fast-paced music.
Yeah. One of my favorite artists that are in the rap genre is Young Thug.
Okay. Definitely things have changed. You know, I grew up listening to like hip hop. Back in the day, Slick Rick, Wu-Tang
who that
Clan.
is.
Yeah.
Things have changed. Nas was an amazing lyricist. Jay-Z, got to give it up to my boys, Beastie Boys as well, for bringing things on the scene. Any shows we're watching? What are we streaming?
Currently, I'm streaming like a baking show. I don't know. It's just it's fun to see what people do under pressure. I find it interesting because everybody reacts in a different way.
You bake?
Here and there.
Yeah, what do you like to bake?
Cookies or like cupcakes or something.
Okay.
Like simple things, because I'm a messy cook. Like when I'm cooking, everything's all over the place. So I try to keep it at
That's
a
all right.
minimal.
Just got to clean up after, that's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I think one of my favorite shows would probably have to be The Summer I Turned Pretty. And it's just basically about a girl who starts to evolve and finally mature and become a woman.
Very cool. I heard good things about that. I haven't caught it yet. That's Netflix? Yeah. So kind of switching into school a little bit, what are your favorite classes right now and why? And you don't have to say like teachers' names. It could be subjects, but what is your favorite?
Currently, my two favorite subjects right now are music, because obviously, Mr. Yondolo, like the teacher, he's very nice. He's always down to help you with whatever, and he makes it so that it's like it's not just learning; it's like an experience in a way. And my second
play?
favorite, I play the bells.
Okay.
So I have like a lot of like solos on my songs and things like that. And my second favorite class will be ELA. A lot has to do with Miss Price. You know, she's giving me a new perspective on ELA. Like before, I did not like ELA, but she's made it so that it's not just me learning, but it's also learning how, like, what are my writing habits or how I can improve something, and I really like that because there's stuff that I learned about the way I write that I didn't know before I met Miss Price.
Okay, my two favorite classes are lab and Miss Price's class, Miss Price's ELA class. And shout out to Mr. K and Miss Price. They're some great teachers for real. Um, but but Miss Price, she also as well gave me a different perspective to ELA and writing, and she makes it so fun and enjoyable, and I'm so grateful for that. And Mr. K, he's just such a hilarious guy and makes my learning journey awesome.
Are there any books right now, literature that you guys are reading that you were kind of like, yo,
Um,
I got a new perspective right now?
yeah. So in Miss Price's class, we're currently reading Miles Morales, and as somebody who obviously likes Spider Man, it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But when I started reading the book, I was like, I could relate to a lot of the things because Miles Morales, he's based in Brooklyn, or like, and Brooklyn and being in the Bronx is a bit similar. So it's like, oh, he's also close to our age. He's going through the stuff that us as teenagers kind of go through. So it wasn't just like, oh, you're reading about somebody else. It's like, oh, I can see some similarities between us.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we get to just learn about Miles and his life as Spider-Man and also being a regular high school, student. And it's very hard for him, and um, it takes some time to juggle both of those.
Hmm. Being a student and a Superman, or
Yeah,
excuse me, Spider-Man,
yeah.
a superhero. Any relation, any connection, I guess, to kind of how you guys feel as teens, like living that life, like thinking about your superpower, right? Because you all have it. So how do you balance that?
I mean, honestly, it's you get used to it after a while because you kind of learn how to balance things out. But school and your personal life can be completely opposite things sometimes. So I feel like the way I handle it best is I make sure that I keep them separate because I know that if I like get too into both of them, I'll get really stressed out.
Hmm.
So I like to make sure that I keep everything balanced and at a pace where I can keep up.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that statement. And, being a teenager these days is not easy. We have people judging you left and right, and it can be really hard to balance your personal life and your school work at the same time. It can be very hard, but that just gives you a reminder to keep on going. Integrity.
So in terms of those challenges as teenagers, right? I'm assuming, or maybe it's a bad assumption, but the question really is how do you feel about social media's impact on your life? So when you think about these challenges and what you're talking about, people's perspective of you, right? Is social media a part of that? Does that play a role?
Yeah, I think that social media nowadays has really bought attention to things that people might not want to share, but I feel like it's not natural, but it's happened. It's a bit late to stop that. Like I've seen people on social media just get bashed for like the dumbest things sometimes, and it's a little sad because either those weren't the intentions or that's just not how the person wants to be perceived.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that as well. And just social media can sometimes also be overwhelming with the comments that you get. Some people are just going to say some really mean stuff, and some people are just going to be there to support you. And you got to just kind of knock out all that negative energy and focus on your goal.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you because I can't imagine that being that easy. So keep up the good work. So, question for you: what is the biggest challenge right now you're facing at school?
Currently the biggest challenge I'm facing at school school is making sure that there's a balance between all classes. Like one class's homework shouldn't be more important than another class's homework, and also making sure that I'm passing, like over 75s in all my classes, because that's something that once you start slacking off, it's a little hard to bring up that grade. So you also gotta put in the work. Like from my personal experience, having a 65 isn't really gonna get you anywhere. You need to put in the work to get a good grade that's gonna reflect all the hard work that you put in.
Yeah, right. And some things that can be hard is just I know some people struggle with being able to pass some classes because it can get challenging at some point. But, you just have to be determined and try your best. Even though if you think you're not doing your best, you really are. I think everybody believes in you and that you got this.
Yeah. To backtrack on that, like at the end of the day, the teachers they do give you resources to try and benefit you. Not all the time as most students think. The teachers, they're not attacking you. They're just they're giving you warnings that if you don't put in the work, no one else gonna do it for you. So you always just need to be mindful that whatever effort or determination that you have, just make sure you put into good use, because at the end of the day, your grade isn't anybody else's. It's is yours.
So I think, just to kind of build off that, you know, growing up for me 150 years ago.
You're not that
No,
old.
thank you.
Yeah, you're not that.
But, people say that's tough love, right? What I try
Yeah.
to tell the staff right now, I call being a warm demander, right? I love you, but I need you to do this, right? So
Yeah.
warm,
Yes.
right? That's that support that you're talking about from those examples from those teachers, but then also demanding, meaning there's an expectation, there's a deadline, and if you
Yeah.
don't meet the deadline, there might be some consequences,
Of
whether
For
course.
sure.
a grade impact, or maybe you can't even turn that in now, depending, right? Or sometimes if you don't do the work, then what's going to happen on the test,
No,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Like, if you know that you're not understanding any of the actual classwork and you're going into a test, like, you need to make sure that if you need help, say something. I know there's a lot of things that kids struggle. They need help and they don't say anything about it, and that catches back to you, because when you really need to use whatever you were learning during your classwork, that's like, oh, but I didn't say I needed help or anything like that, and that's not good, because at the end of the day, it does reflect on your grade. Like the teacher can't do anything about it if they've already given you all the resources and you're not using them to your advantage to help you learn, because also everybody they learn differently.
Hmm.
Yes, you should never stay quiet when you're learning about a topic that you don't understand and it's new to you. You should always ask questions, and at some point it will get hard. So that's why there's always staff members and teachers here to support you and help you.
So I think, I'm a teacher, of course, all these phrases come in my head. It's that saying, hungry mouths don't get fed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's
Yes.
meaning like I want a slice of pizza and I'm hungry, because no one can tell inside your stomach if you're hungry, but it's education, right? It's that thirst, right? Like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can I come after class? Can I come after school? Are you here this weekend? Is there a friend? I always told students when I taught, because this is how college worked, and even in work, like the real workforce, it works, right? You got to have a buddy,
Yeah.
right? Who's
Yes.
holding each other accountable? Because, if you guys are tight, did you do your homework last night, right? Did you study for
Yeah.
this test? Can we study together? So how do we support each other? How does teenagers support each other and kind of build in that
Yeah.
Win
relationship,
together.
right?
Yeah. To piggyback off what you said, like you doing the choice, like taking the decision to go to a class after school, you need to make that. Like going after school to a park isn't is not gonna help you in your grades. You need to make sure that you make that right choice for you, because the schools a school year, it goes by pretty fast,
Sure
and
it
by
does.
the time you realize that you really need help for something, it might be too late. So you need to make sure that you need to take initiative for your grades, because your grades is it's what can open opportunities for you.
So in terms of like year going fast, 6 months of school is basically done at the end of this week.
Yeah.
It's
That's
so
that's like
crazy.
3.5, 4 months left.
Yeah,
And
Then we're
I
out of
was
here.
speaking to my dad about it the other day. He was like, "Leah, you really haven't been in school that long. Like it's been going by so fast."
Very
And I
quick.
was
Yeah.
just laughing. I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah. Time flies when I like to say time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody else this morning. One of our former students is now back here supporting us and working, and just how happy they are to be back in the community and doing the work they're doing.
Yeah.
And just another saying, right? Like
Mm.
if you do what you love, you're never going to work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Right? If you are passionate about what you're doing, and sometimes that changes. For me, teaching wasn't my first career.
That's
Right?
exactly. There's a question that I have
Yeah,
that I
go
want
ahead. You
to
have a
ask
question? Go ahead.
you. What inspired you or motivated you to choose a career in education and then later take on the role of a principal?
So I come from a family of teachers and educators. Both my parents worked for New York City Board of Education at the time, Department of Education now. They never made it to the New York City public schools because they had retired at that point.
Yeah.
But my dad was born overseas, my mom was born here, and so both. My mom was from this neighborhood. I spent a lot of time in this neighborhood growing up myself, and so, when you have a family of educators, it's kind of grilled into you. You should be a teacher. You should be a teacher.
Yeah.
And as the typical teenager, I didn't listen to my parents. I was like, nope. I'm not going to do that. So I had this idea. I didn't have the best schooling experience, right? I thought school was very dry. And I was an active boy. So sitting in class, learning, didn't
Just
allow,
wasn't for you.
didn't allow me to put my best foot forward.
Yeah.
So, I didn't shine the way, I learned as I got older to really dedicate in that stuff you were talking about before. No one's going to do it for you unless you buckle down. So I fought them. I thought teaching at that point, I don't want to be bored and sit behind a desk. That's
Yeah.
that's not me. And little did I know that's not what teaching is, right? But that's what I thought it was because that's what I saw in the classroom, and so it did inspire me. So I actually went to school for a broadcasting degree, actually doing things like this. I used to do
Okay.
television production and putting videos together and producing videos, and so. I was working downtown, and 9/11 happened, and our offices were destroyed because we worked actually literally across the street from the Trade Center, and so
Yeah.
so everything was moved around. And when major things like that happen in your life, you kind of question, what am I supposed to do?
yeah,
Yeah.
I narrowly escaped this event, and so I'm still here. So how do I not waste my time? And so I stayed with the job for another year or so, and I quit. And I have a passion for cooking. I love cooking.
Okay.
Ooh,
Okay. Gordon
okay.
Ramsay in the house.
Yes.
So I quit, and I got a job in the restaurant business. And I had some experience in the business, but I went back full time. That was my income. And my wife thought I was crazy. We didn't have kids, but she said, listen, whatever you want to do. So maybe she didn't say that, but that's how I saw it. But it worked. We were able to survive. And I was going to decide whether I go back to school for being a chef or if I'm going to go back to school to be a teacher. Because in the meantime, I was actually teaching production classes to a private school, religious school.
Yeah.
They had their 50th anniversary, so they were making a video. They wanted to make a 50th anniversary video. So instead of me making it, I actually was able to create a class with a bunch of students. We wrote the script, we shot the video, I taught them how to use the equipment, and then I edited it and we presented it to the community. And so that's kind of when I really fell in love with teaching, because those were like middle school students. And just, to see students take on something that they're interested in, or maybe not all the kids were. They were kind of put in that class, and
Yeah.
but when they saw what the outcome was, or when I found what they wanted to do in the project, then they came to light. So just seeing that kind of inspired me. You know what? When I talk to a chef, it kind of goes back to the saying I said before: if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And this guy kind of talked me out of it. He said, "You like to cook?" I said, "Yeah, I love cooking." He said, "Then don't be a chef, because you'll cook for work. But if you love cooking for your own and that's your passion, once you step out of the kitchen, you're not going to cook because you're going to be done. You're not going to want to
Yeah.
cook. I like cooking for family. I like cooking for parties. I like, entertaining like that. So I'm glad I didn't lose that. And then I went back. I became a teacher. I got a job in the Bronx, working at a high school on Webster Avenue, and then I went back to school. I had a principal and some mentors that encouraged me to take on some leadership courses. I became an AP. I went to another school in the Bronx. And then the former principal that worked here 10 years ago was taking this building over and asked me to join the team. I came here as an AP, and then he was leaving, and I thought there was some great work happening here, and the superintendent at the time believed in, my ability to lead this community, and now I've been in this seat for 3.5 years, and as hard as the job is, because you're trying to motivate students to learn, you're trying to motivate parents to come in and be part of the community, you're trying to motivate teachers to understand, as challenging as their job is, how do we inspire students to be their best? And we're all human, right? You guys
Yeah.
have challenges, teachers have challenges, I have my challenges, right? Today I had to leave for a personal situation that took place, right? So, we're not just students, we're not just teachers, right? We're not just principals.
human.
We're human.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so when I talk about like being driven towards excellence, right? If you're at 100 today, then give 100. But
Right.
if
Yes,
tomorrow you're
of
at 70%, then just give the 70 because that's where you're at, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So, it's just about that human element. So, just being here, building relationships with students, I've been in a few different schools, and from day one, how blessed I was to work in this community, and then just kind of for me to come full circle with my family that was on Fort Independence for a long time. I grew up on Orloff Avenue for a quick minute. So,
Oh, wow.
that McDonald's, was my weekend spot on Broadway.
Yeah.
So, so it's just nice to be here and kind of inspire, and that's what I'm hoping to have is more of an impact that way.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That
That's quite the journey.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. Actually, that's
Thank
kind
you.
of cool.
Thank you.
That leads me to my first question. What comes with being a principal? Like I know you guys have more responsibility, but like give me an idea. Like what do you really do as a principal?
Yeah. So there's a picture online that goes around. I guess somebody must have asked, or the kid. It must have been elementary school, right? And there's a picture of what the principal does, and it's like the stick figure with a coffee and a donut, because that's what principals do.
Yeah.
As much as I like to drink coffee, it's just to keep me moving. I try to get in 7:15 every day, check my emails, look at my calendar, make sure I'm good. Some of that even starts at home when I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for the day, just making sure my day is good the minute I come in here, because I like to have a focused agenda. I don't just like to come in, and I like to be proactive, so I don't want to respond to things. I'd want to address things before, right? So, what's my calendar? What classrooms am I going to be in? What meetings do I have? What teachers do I need to meet with? Sometimes people are coming in to work with us. So, all those things. Again, then checking the emails, talking to my team, my APs, my parent coordinator, my community coordinators, what's on their plate, what are they working on? Same thing with our tech guy, right? What's he working on? Where do I need to support? Where do we need things like that to take place? And then really trying to continue the agenda of how do we ensure if they need our support, our teachers are the best equipped and best practiced to teach you guys, because what I'm trying to push the staff and the community in, yes, the teachers have their degrees and they know their content, right? A math teacher, social studies teacher, science
Yes,
teacher,
of
English
course.
teacher, right? A band teacher. But do we have the ability to ensure that you guys have an understanding of what those teachers expect, right? Is it clear to you? So that's what we've kind of been working on. How do we have teachers make it clear every single period to students? If you do this for me, you're going to learn this, and I'll know by you giving this to me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I like that idea, because I feel like you just telling me this right now. It makes me feel like more comfortable going into class, and I feel like that's how other kids should feel too. Like you should be not excited, but you should not have to dread going to class. You should like going to class or be prepared. because at the end of the day, that's really all we have as teenagers right now. Just go to school, do whatever you have to do at home. That's it. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I feel like,
And we're going to be stronger in some subjects, right? We're going to have an
yeah,
For
affinity to
sure,
some
yeah.
teachers over others, but still, then if I don't like that teacher or that class, how do I still show up? That's not going to turn me off, and that's not going to
of
disadvantage
course.
me, because if we turn off, you're only hurting yourself,
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
that's not the teacher's fault.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's also, I always tell my son, my college age son, because now he's got professors, right? You may not like the professor, but just like a boss, right, or a colleague or a friend, you still have to interact with these people.
Right,
If
yeah.
you
yeah.
shut down, right, or you get angry, or you get upset, or you're not going to talk to these people, you're
How
only
are they
hurting
gonna know?
yourself.
No, yeah,
Or
cause
how are they going to know, right?
Yeah.
How do you communicate?
of
Listen, this is
course.
bothering me, or I don't understand this, or I don't appreciate that, right? You don't have those communication
No,
skills.
yeah, that respect needs to be reciprocated
Yeah,
both ways.
yeah. Um, so I just have like one or two more questions, because I look at young people like yourselves as like my inspiration, because you guys are
Oh,
the future, right?
yeah.
And so the question is, first of all, have you thought about your like future careers? Any goals that you have for that?
Yes.
Yes.
All
You can
right.
go first.
Do you want to go first?
No, go.
Okay, okay. So, I'm planning to maybe get into a great college, and I'm thinking about maybe Columbia or Mercy, and just like my brother went
Nice.
to. And
And do you know what you want to study so that you have a career after that?
yeah, I want to be an orthodontist,
Wow,
be
very
able to
nice.
fix teeth because of my own journey too. As you can see, I'm a brace face too.
Yeah. Hey, I was
Um,
there. I was there once, and I went through with both my boys. So,
yeah, but I'm just hoping that I can make people feel better about their smile and just have more, you know, motivation, like, and just be able to smile more.
yeah,
Like, you should smile more.
you
It looks
should.
good on you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I I wanna start working whenever I can. Through high school, and I wanna build a cushion for myself so I can live comfortably. And so far as careers and stuff, I wanna go to college, and I wanna be a dermatologist.
Nice.
So all that comes with like going to medical school and stuff like that. And honestly, I think I'm prepared. It's really something that I've been looking into for like the past 2 years, and it's a choice that I'm happy with. I feel like your skin, you radiate through your skin. Like when when you look good, or like you just feel good, it shows. Like you just wanna be happy and make everybody around you happy. So I really wanna pursue that.
Yeah, confidence, right? Give
That's
people that
awesome.
confidence. So, I had bad acne growing up, so my dermatologist saved my life. And so did my orthodontist. So when you think about the future, right? And I don't know, what news feeds you guys follow, um, but sometimes the world can always feel like precarious, right?
Yes,
And challenging,
of
and
course.
maybe you don't see seen, right, or feel heard, given your cultural backgrounds, right, or your gender. So when you think about the future, what are your biggest concerns?
Um, Currently, my biggest concerns about the future is how is the world around us actually gonna change? Because the way that we all move has an impact on the agenda we have for the day. Like a lot of the times, like when the world is hectic, we're hectic. When we're at a good place, we tend to be more calm. Like it's a little scary to think about it too much, but you gotta get there when you get there. Like I don't like to worry about the future too much because I can't go to the future. I like to think about the present time, but with the way we're growing up, there's a lot more media in a way, so everything spreads 100 times faster than it should. Um, but yeah, I stay focused on the present, and whatever comes in the future, you go through it.
So I think I want to hear from you too, well, but I think just on those pieces, I think I'm not a psychologist or a counselor, but I think
Yeah.
I think that's healthy because this is how I see it. You should have goals, right?
Of
Because you
course,
want to have
yes.
something to drive towards, right? So like you're talking about dermatology, college. So we have something down the road, but I think it's healthy where you're not fixated on what could happen because that's called the sphere of control, right? We can't control those things. You can just control now and like in a few minutes, hopefully based on choices and decisions you make, right? So yeah, just I think if you frame it in, continuing to have goals, I think that's good. You want to add to that?
Yeah, a big deal for me is respect,
Hmm.
and I feel like that really matters. Uh, through any journey, and what goes around comes around. So if you say, some bad things about some people, it can always come back to you and 20 times worse.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree with Naja. I've heard this saying, whoever you're gonna see on your way up, you might meet them again on your way down, so you always gotta remember. People remember the stuff that you say about them, whether it's good or bad, and you know, sometimes that can impact them in like for a good amount of their life, so you gotta make sure that whatever energy or intentions towards people are good because at the end of the day, the way someone perceives you, that it's not easy to overcome that. Like once you have um a fixed idea on somebody and it's false, it's kind of hard to like, oh okay, like give them a chance and stuff like that because you had a bad experience with them, and that's not how you want people to think of you. You want people to think of you as, oh, he's nice or she's nice or
Yeah.
she put in the effort or she made me feel like I was heard.
So I think that's the deepest thing, right? It's not. I One of the things in philosophies in life is it's not what was said; it's how you made people feel.
Right.
Of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
That's
yes.
deeper. That's going to resonate. And
For sure.
sometimes also that forgiveness is deep because people change, right? We grow up. How old are you?
I'm
14.
13.
14,
14.
13.
Yeah.
Your
Yes.
13, 14-year-old self is going to be different if we do this in 10 years, right? That
Yes.
experience. So, and you're allowed to grow as humans and we make mistakes. The guy you see sitting here is not the same person at 13, 14. There's a
Yeah.
lot of apologies
I'm
I've
sure
had to
you
go back and
mature.
say.
uh, I would also like to say, there's this saying that Miss Ramos said, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words don't. And that's a lie.
Hmm.
Your bones can heal, but your
Yes.
words will stick with
Yeah.
like
They stick in your head.
anybody
Yes.
forever. And you're going to just keep overthinking them and
Yeah.
you're only hurting yourself.
Well, that goes to what you're both saying, right? The overthinking, that's fear of control, right? That
Yes.
perception. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. And, you know, someone as myself, like, it was very hard for me to talk about my feelings growing up. But it's just my friends around me, they have supported me so much that I have overcome the fear of telling people how I feel because I thought they would judge me most of the time, but I should have known that my friends wouldn't do that, and it's so much easier to talk to them now.
that's awesome. You guys are amazing. So I have one question, then we're going to finish up. As young people, what words of inspiration do you have for either our school, our community, or our society?
um Honestly, I feel like you should just keep going, like the journey never ends until you make it end, like nobody, how do I say, you shouldn't be put down or just quit at any little obstacle that comes towards your way, finish what you start and make sure that you finish strong because the way you start and the way you finish, they could be completely opposites, but if you make sure that that outcome is great and that you're going to get good results out of it, you know then that's great. And also not to put too much pressure on yourself because a lot of the times, as my personal experience too, you put too much pressure on yourself and you get overwhelmed, and that's not good a lot of the times because then you can't focus or it's always on your mind and you're not able to learn properly because there's like this lingering thought on you. So just make sure that you make sure that you know where your self worth is and put that into account.
Yeah, 100%. To piggyback off self worth, you should always love yourself no matter what. And always start by loving yourself first, because then you're not going to know how to love someone else. And you can end up hurting them. Uh, and that could be really bad. But also, you just need to be motivated to do the work that your teachers give you. You need to try your best. I know we're all human, but I feel like we can all put that effort in and, you know, strive for success.
I love it. Well, I want to thank Naja and Leah for being here on our first podcast, Driven Towards Excellent, Inspiring Conversations
Thank
here at
Thank you.
Intech. So
Thank
thank
you.
you, thank
Yeah.
you, thank you. And we'll be back next week. Thank you.
you. Love that.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.